Hey guys, Kuda Biza here. I've met so many people who would love to be speaking in public. They want to be public speakers. They want to go on stage. They want to start a YouTube channel. They want to create content online on social media. But there's been one thing that has been stopping them from really stepping into their greatness, and that thing is fear. They fear speaking in public. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about how to overcome fear and anxiety so that you could be a public speaker. And a little bit about myself. I'm Kuda Biza, and I've been speaking ever since 2010. So over 13 years, I've been really going in front of large audiences and spreading my message. And each time I go on stage, to be 100% honest, I do get those nerves and, that little bit of anxiety and fear, but I've been able to overcome it through multiple things. So in this video, I really want to address how you can overcome fear and anxiety when it comes to public speaking. So the first thing is, if you really want to be a paid speaker, right, where you're being hired to go speak in front of an audience, the number one thing that's gonna enable you to overcome fear and anxiety before you go on stage, and even when you're on stage, is making sure that you rehearse. If you have a rehearsal process, if you are able to really practice your speech and you really know your content, that will eliminate a lot of the fear and anxiety you'll have before you go on stage. Because, let's be real. A lot of people are afraid to go on stage because you're not 100% confident you know the material. You're afraid that if you go on stage, you might forget a line or you might forget a point, and you might not be able to deliver the amazing content that you had planned to deliver. Now, by rehearsing, you ensure that when you go on stage, it now just becomes muscle memory because you've done it so many times that you know the content really, really well. So when you're on stage and there's all the lights in front of you and all the eyeballs looking at you, you know your stuff. So that's the number one thing that I would encourage anybody. You don't necessarily need to be a paid speaker, but if you're a leader within an organization and you have to present in front of your team, make sure you practice and rehearse the material before you go on stage. Now, you're familiar with how Apple launches their products, right? They do this amazing launch event every September. It takes about 250 hours for the executives at Apple to plan and prepare and rehearse that presentation. So when the Apple CEO goes on stage, he's confident in his presentation because they've rehearsed, they've practiced, they're fully prepared. So the fear and anxiety of, hey, I'm gonna go on stage and I won't know what to say, that goes away. So make sure you do that. Number two, you need to have a process to really calm your nerves, right? So before that big moment where you go on stage, you want to have a process or routine that really helps you get into the zone. So for me, before I go on stage, I do a couple of things. So number one, I do some vocal exercises. And what those vocal exercises do is it enables me to really just, get my voice out. Because when you're on stage, you really want to project your voice so that people can really hear you. But more importantly, when you have really good voice projection, the audience will see you as someone who's confident. You know your material. And so that's number one. I'll have a separate video that you can watch around vocal exercises and vocal training if you're really interested in that. But the other thing that I do is I take time to really just do some breathing techniques. So I do the Wim Hof method, where I have an app on my phone, the Wim Hof app. I just do the breath exercises on the phone, and what that does, it just puts me in a really calm, controlled state, and it just takes all those nerves and the anxiety away. So before you go on stage, you want to make sure you really just set your physiology the right way. And for me, the breathing techniques is one of those things. And then the other thing that I do is I leverage the Tony Robbins technique of getting into state. So what I do is I do some activities that really just get my heart rate out. So I do some push-ups, some jumping jacks, and a few other moves that I do here and there. And what that does, by raising my heart rate and really just getting the blood flowing, I get on stage in a very high energy state. And by going there in a high energy state, I'm able to transfer that high energy to the audience. And when the audience, gives it back to me, it then just creates an amazing experience, which then just takes all of the fear away. Now, the last thing that I do that helps me take away all the fear and anxiety away is I visualize myself getting a standing ovation after I finish my presentation. So I visualize success before I go on stage. And by doing that, it enables me to really then just be very comfortable with going on stage in front of people presenting, because I have visualized what I want my future state to be. So it's really all about, programming your subconscious with the right result that you want to see, so that when that little voice comes and says like, hey, you're gonna suck, no, I've already visualized success, and in my subconscious mind, that's the result that I'm really, targeting to hit. So that visualization process really helps. And then last but not least, what I try to do is I try to go into the venue or on the stage about 30 minutes or an hour before I get to speak, because then I can go on stage and really walk the stage and really just get a sense of where I'm going to be. Again, visualizing where the crowd is going to be, and really just rehearsing and practicing how I'm going to move on stage and how I'm really going to command that stage. If it's not a stage and it's just a presentation in a room, again, I try to get into the room, into the space a little bit before the meeting, if possible, to enable me to just really familiarize myself with the environment, so that by the next time I go in, I've already mentally mapped out what I'm going to be doing where and where. If I'm not able to do that, if it's a paid gig, I usually ask the organizer to send me a picture or a video of the space, so that I can just at least help create a mental picture in my mind of what that space looks like. In some cases, you might not be able to get this, and you just have to go in and just figure it out while you're there. And this is where your rehearsal comes in, because then once you get there and you've rehearsed, you're going to be able to still crush it, and that takes the fear and anxiety away. So to recap, if you want to overcome fear and anxiety, number one, I encourage you to make sure that you have a rehearsal process in place, so that you can practice your presentation, so that you can really be familiar with the material, so that when you get on stage and people are in front of you and now you're delivering your amazing presentation, you've practiced it, you've rehearsed it, and your muscle memory will kick in. Number two, you want to have some sort of pre-presentation routine. It could be breathing techniques, jumping jacks, or doing some sort of exercise that can really help influence your physiology. And if you do that, it just enables you to then get into this high energy state. And then once you go on stage in this high energy state, the crowd is going to feel it, they're going to love it, and they're going to give back high levels of engagement, high levels of energy, and then you can really feed off of that and really just ride that wave. And visualization is also something that's helped me quite a lot in my ability to then visualize success. And then once I get on stage, I'm able to actually then deliver the result that I had envisioned. And also being familiar with the space is something that I try to do, if possible, to enable me to overcome that fear and anxiety once the moment comes when I need to go on stage. So I hope these tips help you guys. And if you're trying to learn how to become a better speaker, I actually have a program called Speaker Mastery Bootcamp. You can click the link below. The details are there to walk you through how you can be part of the program, and hopefully I can help guide you in becoming a better speaker. So I hope you liked the video. Make sure you like and subscribe my channel, so that when I deliver more content like this, you'll be notified, and I'll see you guys in the next video.